back to Keep Calm and Money On, a financial coaching channel where we talk all about your finances. Today, I really want to talk to you about maximizing your savings. Last episode, we talked about creating a budget. Once you create your budget and you already set your financial goals, the key to really implementing the budget and reaching those goals is to maximize savings. Look at the budget that you've created and look at those recurring expenses that appear from month to month. From now on and forevermore, I want you to change the way you look at recurring expenses. Don't think of an expense as, can I afford this monthly payment? No, instead ask yourself, can I afford the total cost of this item? If the answer to that is no, you probably need to cut it out. So when I was trying to pay down my student loans as aggressively as possible, I had to cut out a lot. The first thing that went, and I've said this ad nauseum, was eating out. But the next thing after that was my clothing budget. I completely stopped buying clothes. And trust me when I say this, I have more than enough clothing still to last me for the next 10 years, at least. So I'm really not sacrificing anything, trust me. The next thing I cut out was a lot of my beauty regimen. So I stopped getting the weekly manicures, I stopped getting pedicures, I now do my own nails, and I'm okay, I've survived. It's really all about feeling comfortable with the path that you're on and the goals that you have in mind and not worrying about what other people think. It's become so normal for some reason for women to just get their nails done every single week, spend upwards of $15 to $20 depending on the type of manicure they're getting, and this is like built in now as this weekly need. But in reality, can you be without it? Probably. Look, and with anything I discussed today, if you really feel like it brings you a ton of value and you don't want to cut it out, you don't have to. But you can always find something else. People find value in different things. For me, not buying clothes anymore or not getting a professional manicure or pedicure anymore, that was not a sacrifice. So I was able to give those things up with the idea in mind that by doing so, I'm going to get closer to my ultimate goal, which is paying off my loans. Another thing we gave up was cable. We cut the cord. Now, at first that was really difficult. It was really difficult to get my husband on board, my then boyfriend on board. He's a huge sports fan, and for the most part, it's really difficult to access sports, particularly the team you want to watch, if you don't have cable. But we both had decided that this was much more important of a sacrifice to further our goals than to allow it to hold us back. Because the truth of the matter is we were paying around $150 a month for probably like 3 channels that we actually watched. So it really didn't feel like it was worth it. I mean, there were so many nights that we would come home and we would just decide to watch TV and sit on the couch and just click from channel to channel to channel, and realizing we don't want to watch any of this. And then eventually we would just, watch like a DVR episode of The Office or just relegate to some show that we really, really love that we've seen 100 times. But if you're doing that, should you really be paying for cable? In my opinion, no. So we gave that up around 2014 and we haven't looked back. We use Hulu, Netflix to really have like basically anything that we would really want to watch. And so in my opinion, those are really wonderful alternatives. There's also Sling TV, which I know is starting to gain a little bit of popularity, Roku's, and just so many different ways that people have figured out how to watch the shows that they want to watch without having to pay for cable. We actually ended up just getting regular broadcast cable. We have a little antenna, and so my husband is able to watch his favorite sports teams when they're on local channels. And also very often Verizon or even I think T-Mobile has partnerships with different teams that will allow you to stream it as long as you have that service for free. So again, there are ways around it. Another great way to maximize savings is to buy a used car. We both had leases. I had the absolute cheapest lease that I could find. I got a tiny little Fiat. It was $215 a month. I hated having that monthly payment. I thought that that $200 could go towards something else. And so my husband and I decided together that we were going to give up the lease once it became due, and we were going to buy used cars for less than $5,000 each. My husband's car went up from lease first, and we set a very low budget for that. His commute is literally 5 minutes, and so we decided that we were not going to get a car more than $3,000 for him. I finally landed on a Subaru from 2005. It had like 180,000 miles on it, but again, you know, we're paying like $2,500 for it. So what do you expect? Like, another thing, we came in under budget, so that was awesome. You know, and we knew this wasn't going to be the car that we're taking on trips. Literally just going to be his commute, and you know, maybe to the store here and there. His car is great. We had to put in some money, of course, into it afterwards. We brought it to a family friend who's a mechanic, and we put in about $700 or $800 into the car. He said it looks fine. You know, it's great. Just drive it until it dies, basically. You know, we weren't looking for something to make us more prestigious. We just don't care. We've come to that point in our lives where we simply just don't care because there are much more important fish to fry. So then my car came off of lease. We set myself a little bit more of a budget for that, just because I do have a bit of a longer commute. It's about a 35 minute drive, you know, depending on traffic, it could be longer than that. So we really wanted a car that had lower mileage and would be able to handle that type of a schlep, you might say. And so we set my car a budget for $5,000. We ended up getting a 2006 Nissan Murano for $4,700, I believe, something between $4,700 and $4,800. And it's all-wheel drive also. It has a backup camera. What? Like, how cool is that? Wasn't expecting that. Wasn't looking for it at all. And it had about 81,000 miles on it when we got it. So we were very happy with it. We brought it to that mechanic friend again. He fixed it up. I forget, this one was much more expensive actually, because we needed to replace tires. We needed to replace shocks and like some other car stuff that I don't really know about. I think it came out to be about $2,000. So all in all, we spent like $6,700 on the car, which I was very happy with, and I'm very happy with this car. I love it. Getting rid of that monthly payment was incredible. We got rid of my $215 and my husband's like $270, I want to say. Just totally got rid of it. And yes, we've had these expenses with these cars. We save up for them, so we knew we were going to have them. But since then, it's not, you know, we don't drop money on it every single month. Sure, here and there has been, you know, something that needs to be replaced, or, you know, normal stuff like I need to get an oil change, which I would have had to pay for anyway. But for the most part, these cars aren't really costing us much. Those were some of the big savings that we had. But then what we do is we try and save in every single category that we have on our budget. So when it comes to groceries, I look at circulars. I make sure to get things on sale. I make sure to plan out what I need to buy so that I know in advance and I could actually check the prices at the store when it's not like I need it now, so I don't have a choice but to buy the premium version of, you know, whatever I want, which again goes to that planning that we talked about in the very first episode, how important it is to plan. What I really love to do as well, and I really suggest it for you too, is to have a price book. So basically it's just a book that lists the stores that you go to, the things that you buy there, and which store has the cheapest price for that particular item. You could keep track of when what the price is on sale, what the price is normally, but it's really helped a lot because I know that there's one particular store where my husband's half and half is the absolute cheapest, like hands down, like 30 or 40 cents cheaper than anywhere else. So when I know that he's running low on half and half, we put it on the list, and I know, oh, okay, so I have to go to this particular store because I need to get half and half, and that'll be the best deal. You can download applications for it. There's an application that's called Price Book. Some of them though, I don't really like because they only allow you to add in a certain amount of items before you have to upgrade to their premium version and then pay for it. I just don't really see that this is something I really need to pay for. So instead, I just use an Excel spreadsheet. I just keep track of the stuff we buy a lot. Most people end up eating this pretty much the same things over and over again. Particularly when you are kind of trying to save money, you'll notice that you eat sort of the same meals or the same ingredients. So it's really not that difficult or overwhelming. There are things that I refuse to give up. I didn't give up on my medical grade skincare. I used to have really, really bad skin problems, just terrible, terrible acne. Like ever since I was probably 16 or 17, I used to go to a dermatologist all the time. I used to get facials. I was on all sorts of medications to deal with the acne. So I've really gotten it under control, and I've been able to figure out my skin regimen so that I break out the least amount of times possible. And what I use is very expensive, and usually I buy it from a dermatologist, and that is something I refuse to give up. It's just, I'll give up anything else, but I refuse to give it up. The point of me telling you this is because I don't want you to give up things for the sake of giving it up and trying to live this austere life unnecessarily. I want you to truly ask yourself, does this bring me value? Because if it does, get it, okay? Does everything on your budget bring you value? Probably not. Please be honest with yourself, because then you'll never reach your goals. But when it comes to really important stuff that you're just not willing to bend on, I get it. I totally understand. I have those things too. That's perfectly normal. Just don't go crazy and, make the whole budget that thing that you just can't give up. The thing about everything that I'm talking about now and giving stuff up and trying to find room between your income and your expenses is that meeting your goals really is more important than having and accumulating a lot of stuff. You'll find that you're not going to miss these things anymore. At the very beginning, it'll be hard. We're wired to get used to things, and they turn into habits, and suddenly it turns from a want to a need, and you can't even imagine your life without it. But the thing with us is that we're very resilient. We're able to assimilate. When we can't have something, our body just gets used to it. Our personality gets used to it. We get over it. And I had a complex, ever since I was a little girl, that I didn't have enough clothing. And so when I started making money, that's where it went. And when I first kind of embarked on this journey to pay off my loans and to maximize my savings, I didn't know what it would be like to not be able to walk into a store and just buy a ton of stuff that I wanted, or to go online and buy new clothing. And yet I did it, and it was hard at first, but then it was just totally normal, because I looked at my closet. I'm like, I have so much stuff in here. I have beautiful clothes. I don't even wear half of it. I don't need these things. I'm able to admit to myself that I really don't need them, and I will be okay without them. And once you're there, you just start rolling with it and you get used to it, and then you're fine. You don't even think about it anymore. I've been able to change in my mind how I look at these things that I no longer miss. I don't look at them as needs, I look at them as wants. And when I'm able to make that determination that this is actually a want, it's so much easier for me to say, well, I don't want it that bad. What are some ways that you've been able to maximize your savings? Leave some comments. Tell me what are ways that other people can leave margin between their income and their expenses. We really didn't talk about a very exhaustive list. There's so many more ways to maximize your savings, and I'm sure people can be very, very creative about it. All you have to do is kind of just try and think outside the box. And everyone's circumstances are very different. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. And don't forget, keep calm and money on.